plot, and then from gain plot you are supposed to guess what the transfer function is. So that is one type of problems that we can have. If you all are interested, I can show it right now, or you just practice actual plotting of Bode plot and sketching the Bode plot, and then later on I can show one or two problems which are given in your notes. Actually, even if you just refer to your notes, you will be able to understand that. So let us just, once I'll show it to you. Even if you don't understand, it's fine. I'll explain once again later on, no problem. Okay, so yeah. Now suppose this is the point, this is the example. Okay, so this is the gain plot that we are having. Okay, we are having the slope also, then we have the frequencies also, and from this we are supposed to guess what the transfer function is. Now from the Bode plot, initial slope of the gain plot always is determined by the poles at origin or zeros at origin. Okay, up to first corner frequency, initial slope of gain plot always depends on poles at origin or zeros at origin. Now in this case, this is the initial slope. How much is the initial slope that we have? 40 dB per decade. Slope is positive. That means there must be zeros. Okay. If there are poles, then the slope would have been negative. But slope is positive, so there are zeros. And how many zeros are there? One zero would contribute 20 dB per decade. So there must be two zeros because the contribution or actual slope is plus 40 dB per decade, right? So there are two zeros at the origin. Okay. Now, so that is written also here. Two zeros at origin. Okay. So this is S square is the term in the numerator. Now, next thing that you are supposed to see, at what point it is changing the slope. In your Bode plot, it changes the slope at corner frequencies, isn't it? So 10 is the corner frequency at which the slope is changing, and 100 is the corner frequency at which it is again changing. So at 10 and at 100, there is some factor. Now we will see which factor it is. See, now this is a straight line. So slope is 0 dB. Straight line means no slope, so 0 dB. So 40 dB say if the slope is going to 0, that means what is the change in the slope? Minus 40 dB. If the change in the slope is minus 40 dB at 10, that means at 10 there might be two poles. Why 2? I think you have understood, because there is slope of 40. If it would have been 20, then there would have been only one pole. But slope is changing from 40 dB to 0. That means addition of minus 40 dB per decade is there. So at 10, there are two poles. Okay. Now at, so at two poles at omega equal to 10, and this is the factor. 1 upon 1 plus s by 10 bracket square. Square because two poles are there. Now at 100 also the slope is changing. Now slope is changing by minus 20 dB because here the slope was 0. From 0 it is going to minus 20 dB. That means at 100 also there is a pole, but there is a single pole because slope is minus 20. So there is one pole at omega equal to 100, and this is the factor. Okay, 1 upon 1 plus s by 10. Now, most important thing is the calculation of value of k. Okay, so for calculation of value of k, we need magnitude at omega equal to 1. If you remember, the reference point was omega equal to 1 because at omega equal to 1, the magnitude is shown as per the value of k. If you remember the first sketch of the Bode plot which I had shown, there were two graphs, two magnitude plots. One was a reference plot, and then the second one was uplifted or shifted upwards by 20 dB. So whether it is 0 dB or 20 dB, that can be observed from omega equal to 1 because that's a reference point. So that is why value of k can be calculated from omega equal to 1. Now at omega equal to 1, now suppose if you consider that this point is omega equal to 1, okay, at this point, how will you calculate the value of K. For that, you need some information here. How much is the value here? How much is the value magnitude here? So with the help of that, you will be able to calculate K. That can be shown in another problem probably. But I think this part is clear to you. When gain plot is given to you, first check initial slope. Initial slope will define how many poles or zeros at origin. Then check the frequencies at which slope is changing. Those are corner frequencies. Slope is changing by how much? That will give you whether there is a pole or zero at that particular corner frequency, and then you will be able to guess the factor that you have. Okay, so ultimately, okay, so this complete thing I'll show later on for K, but this part was important from the point of view of sketching the gain plot also. That's why I have shown it. Okay, is that clear now?
Yes, ma'am.
Everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, okay, so that's all for Bode plot. Only the part that remains is this type of problems, that gain plot is given and you are supposed to calculate the transfer function, which might be part of online exam if it happens. Okay, so that part can be covered little bit later on, because you should be well conversant before solving these problems. You should be well conversant with actually how the plot is sketched. Okay, once you have practiced it sufficiently, then you can move on to these problems. Okay, so that can be done by you. You can ask me the doubts also. Is that fine?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now people are asking independent questions independently to me on WhatsApp. I'm replying to them. If any one of you have any difficulty regarding Bode plot, you can please send a message to me on WhatsApp, and then I'll clarify your doubt. I'll solve the problem on my own if it requires, and then send it back to you. Okay. Please solve these problems today only, 2 or 3 problems, till you are confident enough that you will be able to solve any problem. And then if required, then 1 or 2 problems of that type which are given in the notes, have a look at it. If you have difficulty in calculation of K, I'll explain that also. And one more thing, I'm taking a gap of 1 day tomorrow. Let me give some time for you to study, and then day after tomorrow I'll be starting with Nyquist plot. Is that fine?
Okay, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that fine? Day after tomorrow.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so day after tomorrow at 1:30, 9th April at 1:30, I'll be starting with Nyquist plot. Please get your doubts clarified. I mean, doubts on Bode plot should be clarified before that. Okay, I mean later. So I'll reply, no problem. But if your concepts of omega GC, omega PC, GM and PM are clear, then you should be able to understand it in a better way. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. You can leave the meeting now. I'll share these notes. Whatever I have done today, I'll share it with Shivam. He will share it with you.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.